welcome everyone to this public session on scholarships in Ireland. Before we start and give the floor to Srimoyee, I just would like to introduce Project EduAccess, what the project is doing. Project EduAccess was started as an initiative when a lot of us realized that access to higher education, leadership, and professional opportunities are actually quite difficult to access for a lot of marginalized communities because of structural and systematic exclusion, whether it's in the form of cost, information, and dispossessional barriers. And Project EduAccess is actually just an attempt to sort of improve inclusivity in educational spaces. And we do this in a number of ways, whether it's through providing mentorship or through engaging in advocacy and having sessions like these for a broader audience. So our panelist today is Srimoyee. She's doing a PhD in social work and social policy at Trinity College Dublin in Ireland. And she's also a Trinity Research Doctorate Award in scholar and has been awarded the Education Scholarship by the Government of Ireland. It's really wonderful to have you here, Srimoyee. And yeah, I think you can start and let me know if there's any glitches on the end of the slides. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Anisha. Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining in. I know it's a Sunday in India right now, and it's also 6 p.m. So thank you for popping in. So just so that we can begin right now on like how like just this session is going to be like mainly touching on 2 awards. That is, yeah, I think with this slide's great, Anisha. Yeah, we can stick to this, and I'll just keep on saying when to move to the next slide, and that will be easier moving ahead. So, hi everyone. I'm Srimoyee, and I had completed my bachelor's and my master's both in India. So this is again like moving abroad to do a PhD. So I kind of understand if those of you who are thinking for a postgraduate degree, be it at a master's level or at a PhD level, it's a daunting task. But like I think the initiative you are associated with or are looking at this through is like great. So please make use of it. And also, it's almost very surreal to think about it that I was there where you all were just a year back, and now it's on the other side. So with that, I'll just talk a little bit about just generally how scholarships work in Ireland, higher education works in Ireland, and then we will shift on to the 2 specific awards that I have got, outline what the benefits are, and then we will sort of decide, and you all are free to like, sort of pop in, drop in your questions, as Anisha said, and then we can go ahead. So again, largely Ireland's system of edge scholarships, which I'm going to focus here right now, are not exactly the most centralized. So for those of you who are looking towards Europe, especially the UK, you will see if you're applying to spaces like Oxford or Cambridge, like all of these have the scholarship process is very well defined for how historically it has been very well known. But for Ireland, it's sort of a little bit newer on the end because we do not have something which is very historically present, or in the sense it's very centralized, if I can put it more clearly. So each body has their own different sorts of fundings. I, for one, have got funding from the Trinity College Dublin, where I am currently enrolled as a PhD student, and also from the Government of Ireland. And both of these are separate calls to which I have had to answer, separate applications that I have had to make. So with that caveat in mind, we can just go ahead. So I have like, broadly categorized funding into 2 kinds, university funding, Government of Ireland funding, or the Irish Research Council. So it's mainly government based. So there are 2 kinds of funding. One is the government based funding, which is governed either by the Government of Ireland and liaised further by the Higher Education Authority, which is like the apex body present in Ireland, which takes care of a lot of higher education. More mainly, it's called the third level bodies over here, as well as the Irish Research Council, which is also another body. It's almost contemporary to, if I can give an example, in India. It's almost like the ICSSR bodies. So, like, it's a very apex body, very reputed. So, each of these bodies give out their calls at different points on, like, throughout the year. So there is no fixed timeline on which you'll be able to rely. And in this workshop, largely I will stick to the Government of Ireland International Education Scholarship, or which will often I will be referring to them as GOIIES, and the Trinity Research Doctorate Award, or the TRDA. So in case you see me using these abbreviations, it's that. For Irish Research Council, the link is available. So when the PPT goes up, I think the Irish Research Council unfortunately has closed its calls for this year because, but I will say for those of you who are interested in going ahead, please keep an eye out sometime during August to September, October of every year. That's when the call goes up. And I think you are given like close to a month to answer to the call, and then it, it closes off and then you hear back from them. So that is tentatively there. I have attached the link, so those of you who can later on go ahead and see, I think you'll be able to refer to that. However, there are some other grants which are available, but I'm unsure if it is available for students who are from, like, who are non-EAA region or the non-European region. So just have a look over there. It may be of interest for somebody in STEM. Can we move on to the next slide, Anusha? So both the GOIIES or the TRDA is aimed at a postgraduate level of study, and that is to say masters and further on. And both these ideas will be at, whereas the Trinity Research Doctorate Award is only for PhD students who are looking to apply for PhD at Trinity College Dublin. If you're looking to apply to, say, University College Dublin or Dublin City University, these are not places which are taking this award. This is very university specific. So I'll be happy to talk about them in the subsequent slides. So coming back, the Government of Ireland, Ireland International Education Scholarship, it's a big name. So again, GOIIES is looking, it's a very good opportunity for those of you who are looking for a 1 year postgraduate study, especially at, say, like, the business schools or somewhere even for a taught master's program at any of the places, at any of the universities. So this largely, it's also very, very competitive scholarship because for the last, if you look at the statistics, it has, I think, got an acceptance rate of 1.2%. So it's a very competitive scholarship nonetheless. And this scheme is again largely operated in partnership with the Government of Ireland and the higher education institutions. When I say higher education institutions, it does not mean the educational institution to which you are enrolled in back in your own country, but the one to which you are wanting to apply in Ireland. So these are called the HEIs. So these partnerships, so a lot, so when I got this scholarship, the higher education authority only contacted me to let me know of the results going ahead, but they did not, but they largely corroborated everything of record with with my particular higher education institution in this case, that is Trinity. So they were constantly liaising information from my particular university to whatever they will be needing it. So that's essentially how it goes. The Government of Ireland's International Education Scholarship is especially open to people from the non-EU or EA countries. And I think it doesn't, and if you go through their call document, it really particularly emphasizes that they want people from underrepresented cohorts to be coming in. So they are very, very positive. So that is something. So if you're ever having the doubt that you should not be applying to a space of this kind, please don't be. They're very understanding about the fact that there are people at different stages, and they are very, very open to accepting newer, more innovative ideas and making their entire process more inclusive. So do keep that in mind when you're going ahead. There is another key, though, that the study is for full-time education only. So unfortunately, if you're thinking of applying for a part-time education in Ireland, this funding call might be degree, and it's only valid for a period of 1 year, which is why I said that if those of you who are willing to go for a 1 year degree, preferably a taught degree, It's a fantastic opportunity. It's a very prestigious scholarship, and some of the benefits cover are like you don't have to pay the fees, so you get a full tuition fee waiver for 1 year. Your registration charges. So when you do get accepted to a university, you still have to pay a registration charge to the university to enroll yourself as a student. And that, I think, for the non-EU people, at least as far as I remember, personally, I think in Trinity, at least for my particular course, it was close to, I think, 100 euros, I think, but it's still an amount for those of you who are coming not from like, not from a place where you are largely relying on scholarships. So this is also like one of the benefits that they give. And they give you a 10,000 euros throughout the year to cover student costs and living expenses. And I think while this in itself is really important, it's okay for a year, honestly. So that's a catch, that it's, while it's a good scholarship, it does only cover for a year. So I think that's a good amount to work with. Moving on. Yes. So this is the eligibility criteria, and this is actually from their call document. So their website is again linked right at the end of the like right at the end of this PPT, I assume. So you will be able to get the link to it. So again, applicants must have a domiciliary of origin outside of the EU or EEA, United Kingdom or Switzerland. So it's completely meant for people from different parts of the country who belong to the EU to be applying for this. So it's a very good place to be, like, putting your stakes into. Also, again, as I said, full-time study in Ireland for a period of 1 year and must receive a conditional or a final offer of admission. This happened with me often because at that point of time, I was waiting to hear back from my university on whether they are extending me an offer. Only then I'll proceed ahead. So I hadn't given my English tests, that is the IELTS. So yeah. So what happens is, if you still want to delay it, because in my case, I personally did not want to go study abroad if I did not get a scholarship. So if you all are also on a similar board, I will say wait, and the scholarship still applies even if you're hearing back from them on a conditional offer. The scholarship call, and if you respond to, and if you qualify for the scholarship, it still remains valid as long as you are fulfilling and turning the conditional offer into a unconditional one right at the end before, like, your term starts. So as I said, this body largely talks a lot with your higher education institution, that is your university, rather than you. So all your queries and questions also have to be in close relationship. So please, this is one thing it was mentioned in the slides, but I forgot to emphasize right now, is please ensure that you are in very close touch with your coordinator or with whoever your course coordinator is, whoever the international director is, because it depends from university to university who is looking into these things. So please keep in touch with these people. They'll guide you to the right places. They'll tell you whether your particular course, whether you are applying for a particular program, if that fits this application or not. Often you will find this particular scholarship listed in their own website as an additional source of funding, as it was in my case. So please check in with your concerned coordinator to be able to go ahead with this. So there's another catch in this particular call, and that is it can only go for a higher education institute which is eligible for the scheme. And that often comes when the call document is issued. If you scroll right at the end, there is an appendix for different things. I think in the last year it was Appendix 2 or the second appendix, the only two appendixes that they have, where they do mention that these are the qualifying institutes for which this scheme is eligible. So in case you're applying to a university which does not become eligible for this particular scheme, unfortunately, you will not qualify for this particular scholarship. So again, highly advisable. Your call document is sort of like your guiding document throughout your entire time. So please keep that in mind. Um, it's usually mentioned, and again, I think I have attached the call document to this deck of slides. If not, I'll be happy to, like, shoot out an email just so that those of you who want to know, you'll be able to get that. These are some of the things which the call document outlines. That's how a candidate must be. And the focus is very like fourfold. One is you need to have like a really good academic achievement. So you need to be very, and I would say for outstanding academic achievement, don't like sort of translated to being like the top of your class all the time throughout your education. What they mean is like that you've consistently performed well academically, and they recognize that you might not be in a position where you're topping at every class at every point of time. So please don't worry if you haven't done extremely well at some cases, but you have done considerably well over a period of time. Communication skills, participation in extracurricular activities, of course, and they've given examples. So you can try to really look back at your resume to see whether they fit into any of these categories, or at least you can try to definitely mold your own extracurricular activities within these categories, which they have exemplified. But again, feel free to work around. Um, and of course, a strong rationale. This is something they are very particular and they really want to emphasize on is what your longer term goals are. The reason for that is because if they're giving you funding for 1 year, and since this is specifically tailor-made for global scholars to come and to become a part of the Irish ecosystem, it becomes extremely crucial that you exemplify why do you want to come here and what your long-term goals are. And try to be as realistic as possible, because you do realize that there'll be close to 5,000, 6,000 applications coming to them with the same people saying, like, they want to strengthen bonds and all of that. But particularly look at your personal as well as your own positionality while I analyzing where you want to pursue the strong rationale. So this rationale can't be generic at any cost, because they will be getting a number of people in. So please keep in mind, build your rationale and actually analyze. And this is it's a point where you really reflect on why are you applying to Ireland of all the countries. And I think it becomes very crucial and they really look forward to hearing. Moving on, Anusha. Okay, thank you. So yes, so this is I was saying that I had written the link, I had given the link. This is the link to which it's called the hea.ie. It's with a very similar, I think it's called goies@hea.ie. That is their official email ID. That's the email ID from where you will be able to probably be hearing back. That's what they did for the last year, and that's exactly their email ID dedicated to handling this particular queries. Right now, they haven't, as of now, this next cycle is not announced. When I had inquired with them personally, they said that it will be announced in late of 2023 or early 2024, and they had assumed that it would be November 2023, and it still hasn't gone up. The call still hasn't gone up. So I'm assuming keep an eye out on this particular website, especially under the news section. That is where these calls go up, and the HEA website will be there also for the 2024 and the 2025 academic year. So again, this is a very consistent call. Last year, I think they opened the call sometime in January and closed it in March. So you have, again, a longer period of time that the Irish Research Council to actually apply for this. Every year, whenever they let out the call, they also have the call document attached with the FAQ document or the frequently asked questions document. And I think these two documents should be downloaded, kept in a separate folder as a PDF for you all to refer to. I think it's very exhaustive. It's a very helpful resource. You usually don't have to write back to the GOIIES to even ask for clarification, because they're that thorough with their call documents. So please keep that in mind. Once you have, portal. Once the call is up, you will get an access to a call document. And that is where once you open the call document, you will see they say to apply for this particular scholarship, click on the link and they embed the link within the document. It leads you to a portal where you have to create your own account and start an application process. The key is here, you might be hearing back from more than one university. So say, for example, you are applying for Trinity Business School and as well as you're applying for UCD's business. And you hear back from both of them with unconditional offer, well and good. And yet you still want to apply for the scholarship. It is still valid in that case. You don't have to choose between whether you want to only go to Trinity or whether you can only make one application for UCD. What you can do instead is create two separate applications. So you need to have In case you have admission offers, as I said, from more than one university, please ensure that you start separate applications. So once you enter inside the portal, there is a plus tab which says create an application, and then you'll have to create two applications with two separate set of details to be considered for the funding for each case. So both your applications will be assessed differently. The application has, again, four sections primarily: personal details, details of offer, academic work history, personal statement, and references. And the reason why I have included details of offer as a separate um, tab over here is because the details of offer really means that you have to upload the offer letter, which is either given to you over the dashboard of your student portal of your concerned university or over email. Depending on whatever it is, they need an offer letter from the concerned university to be uploaded, because when you do get the scholarship, they inform the university before they inform you. So they are more in touch with the universities, which is why, again, my primary point: please talk to your concerned university about it. Let them know that you're applying for the scholarship. Academic and work history is pretty self-explanatory. Personal statement and references are, again, important. I've given the breakdown further, but get two references definitely, and I'm assuming those of you who are applying are already getting it. Submit each of the applications before the deadline. They very clearly and explicitly mention the deadline which needs to be considered, and further correspondence after submitting the application always happens over email. So as I said, your student portal, which you created when you actually logged on and you created your applications, nothing happens after you submit them. After you submit them, it just shows like a little yellow tab which says your application has been submitted for assessment. That's it. You do not get any messages there. You do not hear back from them there. Everything comes over your email ID. So please keep a note of your email on which you are registering for opening your account. Moving on. Yes. So again, I have made like a very, like, I sort of given like a little bit of pointers on how to go ahead with these particular bits. Having a conditional or an unconditional offer from the university. So please, while you do not have to upload the, so please ensure that while you have both of them either from, and always print these PDFs out, maintain separate folders. It'll save you a lot of time, because during application season, things tend to become a little crazy, and it's always better to be more organized at that point of time, or make mental notes. Sometimes, if possible, get a physical pen and paper or a little diary and actually make like pointers on what you have to do and what you don't have to do. So please have a conditional or an unconditional letter from the university at hand. While you do not have to upload documents such as mark sheets, okay, please ensure that you're not altering information. And this again is, again, like, I might sound like a chatterbox repeating the same thing. Please note that they really reach out to your higher education institute where you have to upload all of these to get your application sorted. So inevitably they will cross check this information with the higher education institute to which you're applying. So please ensure that you add correct information, because in case there is a discrepancy, your application might just get rejected, and they're very strict about this. Description. Um, how short paragraphs and all the extracurricular activities that you have undertaken, as they want an explanation on how you have built your profile. So have small short paragraphs, especially, like, because once their personal statement is very interesting, it's not like a consolidated statement which you have to write for all the universities. Like every other application that I've had to write like a consolidated one, very well blown out statement which has consistency, flow, talks about my research. This one doesn't go with it. It's the personal statement is very, very question oriented. So all your personal statement comes almost like them asking you a question and you answering it. So it is very interesting, and I think they in their call document already upload. So if possible, and if all of you need be or want to go through it, please go through the last year's document to see what the questions were. Uh, they're pretty simple if you think about it, but also very deep, because they want you to answer everything within 500 words. So please keep that in mind. I also mentioned that have short paragraphs from extracurricular activities that you have undertaken, as they want an explanation on how you have built your profile. So every time you say, for example, add that I have been a research intern at, say, government of so at the Ministry of Women and Child Development, for example, that's one of your things. So they'll immediately have a short space for you where you have to like write a small paragraph to describe your work. So in case your resume does not have that and you're applying for this, please ensure that you have those small paragraphs already done, because it takes a while and then you start recapturing all the work that you have done. So either my best suggestion would be make your resume in such a way that you can actually take out these bits and actually copy paste them because you have already thought them through. But otherwise, if you don't have it, that's perfectly fine. It's your resume. You can choose how to go ahead with it. Have these little paragraph or bits sort of kept aside for you to analyze and to add on to this application process. Keep two references, work or academic, at your handy. Now, the key is, unlike other scholarship applications where they send a link to your concerned professor or to your concerned work personnel who is going to upload your reference, this has a little bit of a catch again. They want you to have a PDF ready with them with a signature. So the letter which they would have anyways otherwise uploaded personally, you need to have them because you need to upload them from your end. So I remember I had personally taken one work and one academic, but you can again choose. If you have not had any work experience, you can go with two academic references. If you have work experience for the longest time, then go with two of them. It's as long as they add value to your application, that's all they're concerned about. But you need to actually have this time set out for yourself, because you need to pursue these people to ensure that they send those PDFs to you and you don't misuse them other than this purpose. So please go with people who you really trust and really know who can vouch for you. Moving on. I think it glitched again. Okay, great. Okay, statement of purpose. Okay. So statement of purpose over here, as I said, it's very different from most applications. Most of it, what brings you to the table with scholarships and by extension, the university. So they really make it a very question answer form thing. If I still can clearly remember, what they asked me was like, why do you want the scholarship? What do you add value to? Do you have any long-term interest in Ireland? And all of this has to come with these idea that you need to really that you'll be actively contributing it. We understand that, financing and funding is a very big issue which stands as a roadblock for a lot of people, but you have to have a vision apart from that, beyond that, to be able to say that if and I always do this. I think that really makes me think, at least, is like, I always think, if money was not the issue, how would I have gone ahead with it? And then I start analyzing from that point, like, if money was out of the way, if I didn't have to care about finances, what would I go ahead with? And that's when I think you think of your long-term goals much easier. And these cohorts are built on the idea that you further go ahead and encourage more folks to join in. So remember, this is run by the government of Ireland. So they are really looking to build partnerships with institutions, with people back at home, with different places across the world. So you'll be exposed to a cohort of people who are also trying to build similar ideas. So how do you find yourself fit into such a group of people? And that's something which you will have to really critically think and realize when you're going ahead. Uh, I think for each question, there was a 500 words limit. However, please take all the things that I'm saying with the fact that it can be subject to change. Your best answer would be, when the call does go up, to actually go through the call document, because they might change things from year to year. But I'm pretty sure they don't change things massively, but definitely change bits here and there around. Remember that they are looking for long-term interest, and how, and this is a funding agency which is not going to oversee your course. So you really need to convey how your course adds value. And this becomes important because they are a funding agency, they're not your university. So you can't go on to say about how important it is. Only like, your university will be way more involved with you going ahead with your course, with your extracurricular activities. But this is a funding agency which will give money and keep on asking from the university on whether the scholar is doing well or not. So please ensure that you have to, it's almost like a pitch, elevator pitch sort of a situation where you have to pitch yourself to an agency who's willing to fund you and who's willing to bring more engagement globally to Ireland. So that's something that you will have to keep as a focal point while moving ahead. Okay, going on. Yeah, so this is the tentative timeline again, as they say. Applications open again, I think early to November to early 2024. So again, the hyperlink is available to you people when the slides go up. You can bookmark the hyperlink to your personal computers and keep on having like a daily check, maybe just like once, just opening it to see if something's been uploaded. You receive offers from universities mainly for the fall around February to March. That's when I did, and most of my peers over here did. Application deadline is again tentatively March. They want to really wrap things up very quickly. So I think that's around the same time that I got to hear back also, like, tentatively March is where I had to submit my application, submit my references. You hear back from them, I think, around at least, and this is again going off basis the last year's timeline. Beginning of June is where you hear back. So it's interesting because in the beginning of June, I get an email saying like you have been qualified for the last round of applicants. So you have actually they have had rounds of assessment and you have made it to the final cohort, but we still don't know if we are going to give it to you. Nonetheless, you should be proud and happy about it. So that kind of puts you on the edge because you know that you've made it to the last round, but you know that you aren't sure. But nonetheless, it's a really nice message to hear back from them, knowing that you have qualified out of so many people. And I think within a week or 2 weeks, your university course coordinator will either be emailing you, which happened in my case. I didn't receive an email from GOIIES till like end of June. And before that, I got an email from my university saying, "Hi, we just got to know that you qualified for this scholarship. Do you want to take it up so that we can inform them and we can put the application and the procedures in place?" So again, be in close contact, really build a good relationship with your course coordinator to where you'll be applying. Usually they're very friendly people. They're used to having scholars and people across the world applying for the scholarship, coming to their school. So they're very kind, they're very warm, but please also spare them some time and give them some relief, especially during the time of applications. It's a lot. And follow up and work with the university because this grant, what happens is they do not directly, when say for example I qualified for it, the grant doesn't give me or in my own bank account when I get my own scholarship on a monthly basis. They break the 10,000 onto monthly installments, and that's how they give it to me. Mm, you don't get it from the HEA. They give the tuition fee waiver, so they pay up to the university. They also take care. So now later on, when I entered for registration, they take care of it. So once when I was registering for my course, I saw that over there they said none of the fees is left for you to be paid because of GOIIES. So I had no fees left to be paid, and they send the amount of money to the university. So please keep up with the university's paperwork because they have their own different set of scholarship paperwork in place. The HEA gives the amount of money to the university and the university gives it to you on monthly installments. So after you have got the award, it's up to you to ask the university. And if the university says something like probably they'll not be able to give the award, etc., or for some other reason they have any other complications for which you're not perhaps convinced about, my best bet would be to actually tell them to give to you in writing over emails as to why they're having certain difficulties, just so that when you have all these documents, you can email back to the GOIIES saying, like, this is my university, I got this scholarship, I have no idea why XYZ is happening, here's what has happened in correspondence, can you please take it up? And that's when, so you cannot approach the GOIIES directly. You kind of have to work with your university. But if there is, again, as I said, a worst case situation, you can, of course, go to the GOIIES. Anusha, I just wanted to know if I can go with the general tips and then take on questions, or should I wait till the very end before going ahead?
Thank you you. I think because we're running a bit short on time, perhaps, yeah, we can maybe go through um, the next few slides quickly, and then if you want to
Yeah,
take
go through.
questions,
Yeah, I'll go through
we
them
can do
quickly
that.
and then we take questions. Yeah. Okay, so I'll go through all of these bits quickly because all of these are from the call document. You can see a clear breakdown has been made available for you on how you are assessed out of 100 marks. For this, they have a very, very robust way of going ahead with the applications. The HEA uses an independent panel to assess applications on the basis of outlined criteria. They have their own outlined criteria which we are aware of. But what you can work with is definitely what you have been given. Each institution will review applications. This is where, again, please talk to your institution so that they know that they can vouch for you. Only material submitted with the application will be considered and priority will be given to applicants without any other scholarships or funding. So, again, if you already mentioned that you've gotten a scholarship, even if you're perfectly eligible, you might be given as a priority. The panel scores are again by the applications according to a set criteria in which they discuss, they rank, and they make recommendations to the HEA. And of course, an independent auditor oversees the entire process. So they really put in a lot of effort for you all to hear back. And it's very, very unbiased. They have actually given the way in which they assess the entire process very well. So please keep that in mind that in no way is your university vouching or not vouch. Again, they should be vouching for you, but like please don't think that everything's going to be like a roadblock or like people are not going to be on your side because it's very independent. It's basically judged by people who have no idea who you are, but also people who need to be convinced that you are worth the scholarship. Going ahead, just general tips is again, as I said, and I have emphasized this throughout the presentation, your primary source of information for the upcoming cycle should be the call document. It will be uploaded in the press release, so please save it, make printouts of it, whatever works with you. If you're applying for this year, I will highly recommend that you start making your application to the higher education institution and also inform the course coordinator that you're thinking of applying for this particular scholarship. In case their website doesn't have adequate information about it, please make sure that you actually email them personally asking for clarification that can I apply for this funding? Does my university accept this funding? So please make sure the email ID is here, and requests for resubmissions are not allowed after the deadline, but before the deadline. If you feel you have missed out on something, please email GOIIES and they usually consider it. But again, please know that they're also burdened with emails, so they may take a while. But try to put your request as soon as possible. Preferably don't go for resubmissions until and unless it's something really major. So that's pretty much it. And in case anybody wants to chat about it right now, and we can take like a few questions before I move on to the Trinity Research Doctorate Award. I just opened the chat. Uh, okay, they've had a question. How do we translate grades when it isn't in the GPA format? Okay, Aisha, I'll recommend you actually go to your university, the university which has given you a GPA. Usually their mark sheets right at the back have a conversion table given to them. If not, just ask the examination department. They are your best bet to go ahead with it. So please keep that in mind. So yeah, you can check your GPS scores in specific websites on Google, but I think the more authentic way of going ahead with it is to go and actually ask your own concerned department for that. Okay.
Um, Sorry, just to let everyone know that if you are also comfortable raising your hand, please feel free to do so. Another question on the chat, Srimoyee, is that whether this scholarship is suitable for PhDs.
Yes, I applied for it, but what is the catch for this in case of a PhD is number one, it's only a year of funding, so it's not the best suited way to go ahead with it. However, in case you are, say, for example, applying for you've gotten a funding for 3 years and you want like an additional year of funding, then you can go ahead with this as long as your domiciliary is outside Ireland, and I think they have a limit to it. For if for the last 5 years you have consistently lived in Ireland, then in that case They do not let you qualify as a applicant. However, if say for example it's 3 years, then for your fourth year, if you need like this funding, I think for PhD, it's a fantastic opportunity to get your fee waived and to ensure that you also get like I wouldn't say a great uh, like sort of stipend, but like a very good stipend nonetheless, considering like Dublin's exorbitant in some cases. But it's a good way of additional funding, which is why I would say think about this as a source of additional funding for PhD, if not as a primary source of funding. But yes, again, you're the best person to make that choice.
Thank you so much. I think someone has raised their hands for a question. So yeah, feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Good day, everyone. I'm Esme Rajdeen. So, actually, thank you very much for this useful information to share with us. And my question is about references. So, you mentioned about two references, yeah? Academic and work one, yeah? So, I mean, the academic one is from university, if I'm not mistaken, and the work one from like volunteering programs, kind of this one, yeah?
Yeah, so work can you've just finished your graduation and you worked for 2 years. So it
Uh-huh.
can be somebody who has, like, for example, your boss or your supervisor, or whoever has been like a very close person in terms of work. And academic is, yes, somebody preferably from your university, not from your high school. So yeah.
Uh-huh. Thank you very much. One more question, if it's okay.
Yeah, sure.
uh, about applying. So first, we need to apply to government of Ireland scholarship uh, website, yeah, on Google. I
Yes,
mean, so then we need to apply to some universities to get offer.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So
yes, yeah, you can finish your question.
thank you. We need to apply to universities through government of Ireland scholarships website, or I mean to university website.
Okay,
Could I-
so you make two separate applications. Government of Ireland's website only deals with the scholarship. You have to make your separate application for your course to your concerned university. So they are in no way correlated. It's just that if you hear back from your university saying that they're giving you an unconditional offer, then in that case, Government of Ireland scholarship and the application that you submitted will become valid at that point of time, and they will closely corroborate with your institute to which you have applied for to further take it up and to actually determine how to go ahead with it.
Yeah, so it means that we need to pay all application fees. I mean, yeah, to university, then get offer, and then put it to a government of Ireland website.
Yes, yes, you have to pay the application fee in case you need a waiver for your particular
Yeah.
application. My high recommendation would be you email your particular department over there in your university. Some entertain waivers, some do not. So just make a note of that.
Thank you, thank you. One more question about Trinity University when where I study. So when I read our how say Trinity University requirements, they said that when you get offer from us, you need to pay 500 euro, yeah, or your
Mhm.
dollars, or, if I'm not mistaken, to frame.
No, not really. No, I mean, till you have got your registration, like, you get a call for registration around August. Till then, you don't have to like pay up for anything. So don't worry about that. You don't have to pay up for anything.
Thank you very much. So good luck. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you. All the best to you.
Thank you so much. I think Disha has a question, so feel free to unmute yourself, Disha.
Yeah, hi. Actually, my question is that first of all, which courses are eligible? Because I've seen last year's this document. I mean, call document. So it's written that taught courses and research courses. So is it like any course under any university?
No, you have to go down to if you're going through the core document and if you have it open right now, I'll suggest you scroll down right at the end and you will see that there are a list of universities. Under that list of universities, they'll have a number of um, they'll have a number of universities will have all these courses which you are applying for. So once you know that your university qualifies as a recognized higher education institute to which this particular scholarship applies to, then in that case, just ensure that you go and you email your course coordinator saying that, hi, I just went through this call document, not now, of course, when the next cycle comes in, that I went through this call document. My our education is education or our university qualifies for this particular scholarship. Uh, is it okay by any chance if I really apply for it? Because then they will be able to ensure that whether they are also taking up that funding for that year or not. It's just to be on the safer side. Usually, Disha, mostly what happens is like if your university qualifies for the HEI, they have to take up the scholarship irrespective of whichever school you are going for within the university. So as long as it's a 1 year and as long as it's the funding is only for 1 year, so as long as it's a taught course or a research course, 1 year of funding has to be accepted.
Okay, so yeah, I saw the list of colleges, I mean, in the document. So for that, we have to ask the, I mean, government of Ireland or our universities that which course can be.
So if you say, for example, your university qualifies, just go to your own course's website of the concerned university to which you are applying and check their sources of funding. Usually it
Okay,
is listed over there. Yeah, it's usually listed over there as whether they are like, mostly they note over there that Government of Ireland's scholarship is acceptable. In case they are not, just send an email to the course director, course coordinator, somebody who is the main POC over there, and they'll be able to say that, like, by all means, you'll be able to go ahead with it. So it should be valid for you as long as your university is recognized. You don't email GOIIS for them because they have given you the information already.
okay, thank you. And one more thing, like how much time the universities in Ireland take to reply if like we apply, in how much time they give the offer letters?
I applied, I think, around November or December of last year, and I
Okay.
heard back on in March. So I'm assuming 2 to 3 months. But again, I'm speaking from the fact that I did it for a PhD. I'm unsure. I think it's very similar for those of my peers who are doing their masters here, but try to say do it as early as possible, and they
Yeah.
usually update you with the timelines. Don't worry. Even in case, like, I'll just share a small anecdote before I go on with the TRDA. I didn't hear back from my university giving me a unconditional offer till like the HEA deadline was almost like just 1 day later. If I had submitted it, the HEA would have, like, closed their call. So I emailed my course coordinator saying like, hi, I told you that I was thinking of applying to the HEA. I haven't heard back from the university knowing that if I've got a conditional or an unconditional offer, can you please let me know about it? And within like a few hours, I heard back with just an email. They hadn't uploaded my student dashboard. What they did say is like, hi, you have been given an unconditional offer. This will reflect on your student dashboard in the next 10 days. So please take a note of it. What I did is like my conditional offer where I had to upload it, I uploaded that email. So later on, I whenever I got back and it was showing on my own student portal, and it was after, by the way, mind you, the deadline. I wrote back to GOIIES saying like, hi, if you go through my application, you will see this is the point that they have said that it didn't reflect to me during the call period. So if you can wait till and since I couldn't wait, I uploaded the email. Here is my actual unconditional offer letter from downloaded from my student dashboard. In case you have any queries, please feel free to contact my department and ask about me from them. And you know what, they accepted it. So they are very understanding in that case. So don't worry about timelines not matching up. Just ensure your school knows that you are applying for it so that they can best assist you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, we'll just move on to the Trinity Research Doctorate Award. And yes, of course, we'll just look into how Trinity Research Doctorate Award works. Trinity, for the longest time, along with other universities, we have had a long uphill fight to make sure that, like, and this is again very targeted for those of you who are going for a PhD. So please think about, like, this is again not for the people who are going for a master's application because it's only for the PhD students potentially. So for the longest time in Ireland, we have had a difficult time to be able to get good wages, especially And apart from like, UKRI rates, which is over there, uh, our Irish PhD students have had a long, tumultuous point to where they have been able to reach. But finally, this is something which Trinity took upon themselves last year, where they said that they are going to be giving a very good livable wage to those students who are going to come from abroad. And like we just had a reception where they said that we want to lead by example. So this is their bit of doing the example, where they have given close to 25,000 euros in terms of student cost and living expenses to you, which is, if anything, I know more than the UKRI rate. So just ensure that, like, it's a great step forward. It's a big move for those of you. But however, many students still struggle currently in Ireland to be able to get this wage. So Trinity is one of the first few universities which has made this wage into a living wage and into something which it gives out to their scholars under the Trinity Research Doctorate Award. The Trinity Research Doctorate Award just started last year, mind you. Before, we had two different strands of um, scholarships, which was the Usher and the 1252 scholarships, both of them paying, I think, 15,000 euros per year, and another paid around 12,000 euros per year. But now they've sort of dissolved these two and largely kept 25,000 euros under the Trinity Research Doctorate Award. So that's like a big jump. However, it comes with its own set of woes. That is, I think they're limited when fewer people get it. So it is a bit competitive. It's definitely very competitive in a place like Trinity to get through. So do keep that in mind. It's open to all disciplines, by the way. Every school we don't call don't call them departments in Trinity. We call them schools. So it's open to all the different schools, and they have two main strands. One is the principal investigator or student-led research. So one of them is where when it says PI, it means your supervisor wins the grant and then gives it to you, because the supervisor is already paid by the university as because they're an assistant professor or an associate professor. Whereas a student-led research is what, in my case, I won it for myself. My supervisor did not. So I am also somebody who has, like, I'm the primary person who is responsible for my own research. So it's where an individual gets this. And the other one is a group-based research awards. This is excellent for those of you who are applying to STEM. My peers who are in pharmaceuticals and engineering who got this thing, they're all working in largely group-based projects, but each of them are getting this PRDA. So they are being paid 25,000 euros to cover the student costs, as well as a full tuition fee waiver, EU and non-EU rates for 4 years. Moving on. Mind you, this is very important because this one cuts across. So it can be given to an EU person or to a non-EU individual. The first scholarship was largely based for people who are from the non-EA region, but this is very, very targeted to both the categories. So you basically have a larger cohort to work with over here. You should be attending or going to a course at Trinity College Dublin. Unfortunately, no other schools or no other colleges will be able to take you up on this. This is a Trinity College Dublin specific award. You have to be enrolled as a full-time PhD. Again, Trinity Research Doctorate Award does not go for a part-time course. It has to be a full-time PhD program, and you must receive an unconditional offer from your concerned program. So till last year, they did not have something disorganized. Till right now, what they are doing, we'll go ahead with it. Moving on to the next slide. We did till the last year, we did not have something disorganized. It was largely a lot of emails and a lot of keeping up with your own department to understand how it is. But this year, they have made it very, very sort of proper, categorical. The calls are out, by the way. They've opened their call for 2024-2025 on the 14th of November this year. So please go check out Trinity Research Doctorate Awards for this next year, in case you all are interested to go ahead with it. In case of a PI-led project, it qualifies as CAT. So as I was saying, there are two different strands. Even for the first strand, if it's a PI-led, it crosses for a category 1, where they are entitled to a principal supervisor of a PhD student. So as I said, your supervisor. PhD work somewhere where you have to reach out to a supervisor. Both of you agree that you both are going to work well? Should you get admission to a particular university, and then you carry on your research from there? So your principal supervisor wins the grant on your behalf and has been appointed in or since the academic year of 2020-2021. Now, this is something you have to discuss with your supervisor to understand whether it should be a PI-led project or whether it should be a student-led project. They'll mostly be able to answer that. And if you are in touch with any of the professors at Trinity College Dublin, please reach out to them. They'll be able to help you better with it in case of whichever department you are applying for. And it's also a PI-led project is often given to somebody who's looking to recruit their first PhD student or second PhD student. So a very early career academic also himself or herself who are looking to see who's like, if they want to be the principal supervisor for the first time, that is where it becomes like a PI-led category. And the second is where it's a student where, which in my case happened, I got a PhD supervisor under the calendar regulations. And I was applying for the next year. So like, has been appointed in or since the academic year of 2020 or 2021. So like, my supervisor in this case also has to be somebody who is not somebody who just entered university or is thinking of entering the university, but somebody since a particular time and is also looking. So the only difference between the two is it depends on who is willing to take up or who is willing to qualify for it. I know somebody who's in the education department whose PI won the fund and then gave it to the student. In my case, I had to win it and then I had to go ahead and work with my supervisor. So do check in with your supervisor or your concerned department to see how or in which category do you qualify. They're very helpful. They usually hop on a call with you to discuss all of this. So please make sure the links are available over here for you all to discuss and go into and research further. We can move on to the next. Okay, so application documents, and this is all outlined in the website that I have linked to you all before. A detailed statement of the proposal in question. So they really care about the proposal. TRDA, when I met everybody from the first cohort of TRDA, everyone's work is highly, highly interdisciplinary. So there's somebody who's working on the psychology of poverty, and there's somebody who's working on cancer, and also at the same time making biopharma bits. So like everybody has very cross-disciplinary interests. So there's not a single person who you will see who is very, very niche in terms of like just applying one research prism and just going ahead with it. So TRDA is really looking to recruit more interdisciplinary scholars into their own bits. If your research cross cuts, if you feel like you're having a difficulty like I didn't figure out that if I go ahead with just one particular niche subject, like a very classical subject like sociology, I saw my interests being very varied, which is I had bits of social work, social policy, sociology, gender, and politics, and everything. Um, it's a great place to be in, and they really want your statement of proposal. If it's interdisciplinary, don't think twice to apply for it. It's close to 1,500 words where you have to make it. An abstract of the proposal, again, 400 words. Role and impact for the student. So very clearly outline or understand. And please know that you can be a little unsure about it. They know that things will change. They're very, very kind and understanding about that. So please take into account when you're thinking about the role or the impact of your work moving further ahead. Please keep in mind that it may change, but also have some large, broader goals in place for you to consider. A brief CV, of course, you need to have a brief CV. Keep it 2 pages, not more than that, and a statement of impact that an award would have on the applicant's or supervisor's research trajectory. So in my case, I had to define how I feel personally moving ahead academically. If in case your PI decides to take it, or the principal investigator or supervisor, they need to make ahead in close collaboration with you, and a statement of current and future. So they all have different Microsoft forms available. So please go ahead, check it. If possible, email your supervisors and decide about it right now. Okay, so this is the timeline. The call goes up on November 14th, 2023. The receiving offers from the university again for fall is mostly usually February or March. And the deadline for applying for the scholarship is 1st of March 2024. So you still have some time. preferably try to talk to your professors within the next 2 weeks if you are going ahead with it, because after that everybody goes on Christmas break and it's very difficult to find professors after that. So if you're interested, please go for it right now. Check in with your course coordinators and determine the next few steps. Once you and your supervisor agree to go ahead with it, check how your school is giving the funding. Like I know for a fact that in the School of Social Work and Social Policy, they are still looking at student-led researches only. But if you're applying for education, if you're applying for economics, please check in with your concerned professors to see, and your consultant course coordinator to see how your school is taking up the TRD. Are they giving it to a PI? Are they giving it to a student? Do they have a group-based research on which they are willing to give it out? So please take into account that. And hearing back is when you hear back on 5th April. They've much shortened the timeline. I heard back June last year, but that was given the caveat that everybody was very new to this entire process. So they have like sort of tightened the process up right now. So please, if you want to reach out to your supervisor, reach out immediately. Moving on. Yeah, so selection criteria is again a very 100 marks oriented across 4 categories, and this is the breakdown. This is again from their call document, which is available on the website. Quality of research, design, and methodology. Please be very rigorous, because this is against, like in my school, it was just given to one student. In most cases, in a lot of schools, it's just given to one student. I know for a fact in the law department, it's a group project. In I think in economics, it's also just one person who got it. So you have to be very thorough with your research design and methodology. They really want academically very sound people with robust research experiences to be coming in for them. So it's a very competitive process, because probably if there are like 6 applicants who are still, even though it might seem less, it is still just one award that they're giving out. So out of 6, you have to qualify as one. So it tends to be difficult. So please focus on not giving a very general idea, but focus on your research design and methodology. That is close to 25 marks. 35 marks is for research impact, and that is the degree of innovation. When I talked about interdisciplinarity, a large portion is given out to it. It will be a requirement to evidence consideration has been given to the project's contribution towards enhancing our local and global sustainability ambitions. So they really want, whenever you're looking at Ireland, they really want you to work very closely with the idea that you're working with an institute in Ireland and you're contributing to their vision and looking at your own vision. So you have to sort of walk that tightrope walk where you're like maintaining the sweet balance between the two. So please keep that in mind for global social sustainability. Highly recommend going through what the university's goals have been for the longest while and what your department's position has been, and to go ahead, research more on that. 35 marks will be able to be cakewalk for that case. Evidence related to the impact of an award on the PI's or supervisor's research trajectory, or of course on the student's research trajectory. So like I really talked about my supervisor being somebody who had, in my case, was fantastic with research methodology. It's unparalleled and he's really great with it. And my co-supervisor was also somebody who was working on gender. While both of these people, one of them had a lot of experience, one of them was very new to it, but they had great research methodology experience. So I told them that, like, I'm sort of bringing the best of both the worlds. And then I talked about the students' research trajectory, where I said, I'm representing what I have been working on for the longest time, and I want to go ahead and work on it better or make it better with the guidance of these 2 people. So really have these very honest, sometimes hard, sometimes long conversations with your supervisors. Usually, if you are getting a supervisor, you have to be on board with them and on the same page. So please keep that in mind. So have these conversations, and I think you'll be able to determine these 20 and 20 fairly after that. Moving on. Evaluation and assessment. It is different from different places, but now they have, like till last year, what they did was have an HOD, another representative from my own university, as well as somebody who had of tertiary interest of my own research sit on the panel to assess my application. But now they have come up with a more robust application process where it's like the evaluation process will be conducted at the faculty level. All applications will be reviewed by separate faculty panels comprising of the representatives either at professor in or professor of level per faculty, as well as the dean of research or nominee, and chaired by the dean of graduate studies. So I think it's Dr. Martin Smith who's going to be presiding over a lot of these panels. So please keep in mind she's the dean of graduate studies over here. Each panel will review research proposal and agree on an aggregated marks for each application from within the faculty, scoring the applications on the basis of the marking scheme set out for them in the previous slide. So like whatever I talked about, they're going to use that accordingly. All applicants will be contacted by the Dean of Graduate Studies at the end of the evaluation process and will receive written feedback, which is fantastic because in most scholarships you never receive written feedback. They do take it up very seriously to actually help you with your research to go ahead with it. So even if you are all in two minds, there's no harm in applying for it because you get good feedback from all the people who's going to go ahead with it. Moving on. It's broadly given at the graduate, at the particular link that I'm mentioning over here. In some cases, like in my case, I was called for an interview. Now, you all might go through the call document, say, Srimoyee, there was no interview, which was mentioned over there, but it might just happen for your particular school. My school conducted an interview. In such cases, the evaluation and assessment will factor in your verbal abilities also. Mind you, both in the Higher Education Authority Award as well as in the TRDA Award, largely it all comes down to how well you write. So you have to be a good writer. You have to be able to express all that you think very well. So it really tests your written abilities. But in cases, especially for the TRDA, in HEA, I don't think they call in for any interviews, but for definitely for TRDA, they might call you for an interview. And in that case, your verbal abilities have to be captured with a 15-minute presentation and the panel of assessors. I've mentioned that the panel, much like your application as the evaluators, consists of faculty members from your school. There can be the HOD, sorry, and school from your research may have a tertiary contribution. So in my case, there was the School of Education's HOD who was presiding over my panel. And the aim is to really look into the work of interdisciplinarity. Almost all scholars have diverse interests, so it is an award which very much caters to the interest of applicants who are willing to be that flexible with their entire approach. The relationship you share with your supervisor takes the center stage, so it will be brought up in discussions over and over again. You can't be treating your supervisor simply as a mode to get through these scholarships. You're on the same boat you have to navigate through. So your supervisor in some way has to be like your best friend. So keep that in mind moving ahead. Which category will be a better option for you to apply? The supervisor-centric stand is really helpful if you're one of the first students for your potential supervisor to go ahead. So please encourage, talk, and have these discussions. Okay, I think these are some further scholarships which I have entitled, like written. There are some wonderful peers working at the Ireland India Institute of Dublin City University. In case you're all interested, has the Ireland India Institute, which is, I think, the only institute which looks into South Asian studies in Ireland. So those of you who are looking over there, definitely take care of these. There are Dublin City, and I've given all of these things along with the Irish Research Council as well as the University of Galway scholarship. So please utilize these once the slides go up. Definitely take note of all of them. And yeah, I'll be happy to answer any other round of questions if there are any.
Hello, Srimoyee, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Srimoyee, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah. If someone is interested in ethnographic research, like, is it important or is it compulsory or mandatory to have an interdisciplinary approach, like like other things in an ethnographic research?
I think it's completely fine because ethnographic research is a methodology. It's a research methodology. What when I meant by interdisciplinary is like it's fine if you want to like really focus on a very classical subject oriented space. It's just that most of the scholars, at least over the last year selected, have largely interdisciplinary interests. Now their methodology can be completely ethnographic or it can be completely quantitative as a matter of fact. So that really doesn't matter. It matters like, what's your research topic? Are you covering more than one area? Are you looking into more interests than just one particular subject. I think that's what I meant by interdisciplinary. If you have your research methodology as ethnographic, by all means, I think that's perfectly fine and they're perfectly okay with it. I have ethnography
Uh,
in my research. So yeah.
okay. Okay, sorry for interruption, but if
Hmm.
my research is about an area like in India,
Mhm.
state, and in even state, it's a particular area about and a
Mhm.
community. So do you think that
Mhm.
it's good to apply with this, or should I have a bigger sort of approach or a bigger sort of idea?
Don't worry about it. No, no, absolutely. Why not? Because my work's based in India also. So, and it's also based on a very particular area, or like, it can be more comparative. So you can always work around it. You don't have to justify why that happens. My only request to you would be if you're looking at a very hyper specific area, say, for example, you're looking at gender or gender dynamics in a particular area, your argument, or at least when you're going ahead with this fund or like applying for TRDA, ensure or you at least talk about the fact that gender is not something which is limited to my research only in this particular area, that gender has larger ramifications than just my own research that is happening because of XYZ issues, because of XYZ things that we are observing. So your research can be as hyper focused or as niche as you want it to be. They have absolutely no issues with it. If anything, they really encourage it. But what you have to definitely go ahead and really push yourself to do is to ensure that your very niche interests also have larger ideas that they speak to. It doesn't have to be direct. You don't have to now do a global research in, say, Africa, or in, like, say, for example, take up Southeast Asia and work around these areas also, if your work is just based in a community in India. But if you're looking at these larger themes, as I gave the example of gender, you can definitely talk about that. And I think that will be very helpful moving
Thank you so much, Shimoy.
ahead.
Thank you. I think there's one more question, and someone has raised their hand. Read them. If you would like to unmute yourself and ask your question, please go ahead.
Hello, I hope I'm audible. So, I wanted to ask, you talked about, cooperating or discussing with your supervisor. So I'd like to know, how did you, like, what's the timeline regarding that? Did you approach them before, during, or after the applications, or after you're selected? So, bit more clarity would be appreciated.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So my timeline went something like this. I had contacted my supervisor early July, so that's when I was looking at different universities to apply. So that's perfectly fine if you want to take like a while right now and just, again, my timeline's no rubric. You can go ahead, work around with it. I had talked to my supervisor early July until the end of August. We were actually narrowing down and doing back and forth with our own research to make sure that, like, my goals and their goals align with each other. And after a while, I did bring up the question where I asked him, or I told him very clearly, and I think that benefits me personally, and it's also like a litmus test to see how well your supervisor is understanding you. I was very clear on the fact that if I did not get funding, I wouldn't be able to study abroad. So my thesis was very clear right from the beginning. I'm like, this is my research. We like the work that we have done with each other. But if I do not get funding, how do I go? And that is when my supervisor informed me that they are dissolving the Usher and the 1252 scholarships, and they are introducing something completely new in their place, which is the Trinity Research Doctorate Award. And I was like, well, then how do I go about applying it? And then he kept on telling me to check the website from time to time. I had applied for the HEA by that time, but like the TRDA thing happened. I think the HEA thing I had applied by the end of March, whereas TRDA applications opened only after I got my like unconditional offer from my university. And after I got that, the fees and funding tab of my particular school updated and said, if you want to be considered for the Trinity Research Doctorate Award, which will only be given to this number of students for this year, please send your concerned, and they gave like a list of documents which they gave over here, to my concerned school coordinator. Now, this year, what they have done is they have revamped it a little, where they make you go through these forms. They have Microsoft Forms over there. So my suggestion to you would be, if you haven't talked to somebody at Trinity, just shoot them an email right now. You still have time. Probably my best bet would be take it till 10 days after New Year, where you hear back, and you're probably till the end of January, where you absolutely get very sure that whether you want to go to Trinity at all on the first place and you want to place your bet on it. And then have a talk with your supervisor on how to go ahead with this application, and just go through the forms meanwhile yourself, just to familiarize with like where you are, where you stand, where they might stand. And then after you are done with all of this, February to actually apply for all of these, for the scholarship, because the close date is around March. So just apply during that point of time. Reach out to your supervisor should you need help. We are also here in case you want to just shoot an email to project at EduAccess, and we'll be able to help you further in case you have something very particular to talk about with this. But my key bet would be, please go to your supervisor, talk to them, and they'll be able to help you out. And I think by March, you'll be able to make a good application and send it in. But my advice would be, just try to send out an email, preferably by the first one or two second week of December, because after that, the like nobody is really around in this far corner of the world. You'll realize it. So just make sure that happens. I think you'll be fine otherwise.
Thank you so much, Srimoyee. I'm very, very conscious of time, and thank you so much for taking out time and giving us a very, very detailed um, rundown of applications in Ireland. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Just before we end, a few things. We conduct workshops every weekend, and we are probably going to host an workshop on internal scholarships at the University of Oxford. So please feel free to join, and there'll be more information on regarding that on our social media and on also on our link tree. The second thing is regarding this specific session. It is going to be, it has been recorded and it's going to be uploaded on our YouTube channel. So in case you were not here for the whole session, for whatever reason, you can easily access it on our YouTube channel in a bit. And the third point is that if you have any specific queries or something general, please feel free to reach out to us at info@projecteduaccess.com, and we will try our best to get back to you as soon as possible. But yeah, thank you so much again, Srimoyee, for taking time out on a Sunday and speaking with us. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And I think if there aren't any immediate questions, we can perhaps end the session now. So I'm just gonna be on call for a few more minutes, and if I see there aren't any questions, can perhaps close the session.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, Srimoyee, I have a question. Should we send a concept note or something like that when we first send email to the supervisors, or
Yes,
just
you should. Ideally, I would say have a research proposal handy, and have a good email at your hands where you talk about where you are from, what your research interests are, and why you are approaching this certain professor, because they would also want to know that you are familiar with who they are. So have an email like that. There are many templates which are available, but I would say just customize every email to whoever the professor is, because it always helps adding that really personal touch. Have your research proposal at hand. Please don't be disappointed if they write back to you with feedback, or sometimes they might just be saying that they love your research and they absolutely cannot take you in because they are at capacity right now. So don't be disheartened. Look at every school that you're applying to, and at least get like three professors to write an email to, and you will hear back from them. And often, if you ever hear back from them saying like, "Oh well, you know what, I can't take you in because I'm at capacity," never say "Thank you, sir, thank you, ma'am," and then move on. Always ask them that, "Do you mind me up with one of your colleagues who you think might be also interested in taking a research student up, and they often do that. So utilize that, and I think you should.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for spending again this evening with us or morning. But yeah, please do join other sessions that you find helpful over the weekends. And if there are any questions, yeah, feel free to reach out to Project EduAccess. Thank you, Srimoyee. And yeah, I think I'm going to close the session now, and have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you, Anusha. Well, all the best. Bye bye.